All right, let's get right into it. Tucked away deep inside Brazil's national finances is this huge, multi-billion-dollar fund. Think of it like a strategic war chest, but its only purpose is to fund science and tech. Now, people have been fighting over this thing for years, and here's the kicker. It's finally been unlocked. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. What it is, why it was ever locked up in the first place, and what this massive bet on the future really looks like for Brazil.
Just look at this number. Seriously, that's almost 13 billion reais. And for 2024, that is the actual amount sitting in what you could call Brazil's special savings account for the future. It's huge, right? So that leads to two really big questions. What is this thing? And now that the money is finally free, what's the plan?
You know, to really get this, we first have to talk about a problem that pretty much every country on Earth faces. How do you pay for the future? I mean, scientific breakthroughs, they don't exactly work on a 4-year election cycle. They are long-term, they're high risk, they're a huge bet. Think about it for a second. Let's say you want to develop a brand new vaccine or a revolutionary energy source. That could easily take a decade, right? Well, if your funding depends on the annual budget, something that can change every single year based on politics or the economy, you'd never even start those game-changing projects. So how do you solve that? How do you create stable, predictable money for innovation?
Well, Brazil's solution was actually pretty brilliant, and it goes all the way back to 1969. They didn't just write a line in the budget, they built a whole protected financial ecosystem.
So, the Fndct. The magic here is in this concept they call a poupança carimbada. It basically means an earmarked savings account. The whole thing was designed so that any money that went in could only be spent on one thing: science, technology, and innovation. It's a clever way to protect those long-term investments from short-term political drama.
So where's all this cash coming from? Well, the fund gets fed by dedicated chunks of money from key parts of the economy. A slice of oil and gas royalties goes in, a piece from the energy sector, a portion from telecom funds. You get the idea. These are known as sectoral funds, and they make sure there's always a steady stream of resources, linking the country's day-to-day economy directly to its scientific future. But, and this is a big but, here's where the story takes a turn. For years and years, having this amazing system on paper meant nothing. The money was there, but it wasn't being used. The system was basically broken. The problem was a mechanism called contingenciamento. It's a mouthful, but it just means budgetary blocking. So even though the law said the money belonged to science, the government had this legal loophole to just freeze it, put it on ice. Why? Usually to make the national accounts look better and hit short-term fiscal targets. And the result of that? A decade of starvation for Brazilian science, all while billions sat there, untouchable, in its own lockdown account.
And this chart, wow, it just shows you everything. Look at 2021. You see that huge gap? Most of the funds were frozen, so spending was way down. Now, fast forward to 2023. After a critical law was changed, the bars match. The spending is way up. The vault was thrown wide open, and the full budget was finally being used. So, what happened?
This right here. This is the moment everything changed. After years of intense pressure from scientists and businesses, the Brazilian Congress passed a game-changing law in 2021. Now, it did some technical stuff, but the most important part, the real key to the vault, is this phrase you see on screen: expressly prohibited the blocking. Boom. Just like that, it became illegal to freeze the Fndct funds. Ever. Again. The vault wasn't just opened, it was unlocked for good.
Okay, so with the money finally flowing freely, Brazil can start making some really big strategic bets on its own future. Which brings us to the next obvious question. What's the plan?
Well, the government has laid out 10 targeted missions, and these aren't just vague ideas, they're very specific strategic bets. You can see some of the big ones here. We're talking everything from totally rebuilding the country's research infrastructure and supercharging industrial innovation, all the way to promoting sustainable development in the Amazon. It's ambitious stuff.
So, what does this look like in the real world? Let's take the Mais Inovação Brasil mission. This program is all about injecting innovation directly into key industries. It helps companies develop next-level solutions in areas like public health, green energy, and national defense. It's really about turning pure science into real industrial muscle.
Or take a look at Pro-Amazonia. I mean, this mission is focused on one of the most important regions on the entire planet. The idea is to build up research capacity inside the Amazon, to study its insane biodiversity, and to develop new, sustainable businesses that can actually protect the forest while improving people's lives. It's a blueprint for a true bioeconomy.
Now, this all sounds fantastic, right? But does this kind of government funding actually, work? Is the Fndct really an engine for innovation? Well, lucky for us, we've got some pretty compelling data on that.
There's always this big debate with public funding called crowding out. The fear is that if the government invests money, private companies will just back off and invest less. But the research in the Fndct shows the exact opposite. It's what economists call crowding in. The seed money from the fund actually makes innovative projects less risky, which encourages companies to put more of their own money on the table, not less.
And you can actually see the results in the numbers. One study looked at companies that got involved in FDCT projects. And get this, their total number of patent filings shot up by 59% in just a few years. That's a hard number that shows the fund doesn't just pay for research. It directly fuels the creation of brand new technology.
So, there you have it. We've seen the whole journey. A visionary idea, a huge political fight to unlock its power, and now a clear plan to invest in the future. The data says it's a powerful engine for innovation. So the final question is, with its funding finally stable and secure, just how far can this engine take Brazil?